Action.
Okay. You're coming to meet me, and Saurav mentioning to me, saying that
I can lend you my resource.
Yes, that's exactly the word that he used, right? So if you remember at that time, I'm not sure how much you had clarity, but I clearly did not have clarity on how it was going to evolve.
Equally, I was clueless, and then we both figured it out together.
Absolutely. You remember that first time that I came to record?
Yes.
To be honest with you, it's one of my horror moments. I can see you laughing about it.
To begin with, we began with recording third module, which was on performance management.
Yeah.
Yes.
And why did we do that?
Do people really need this course? Because there are already so many HR courses into the market.
Yeah.
What is the new thing which we are adding to it?
Line managers, functional managers, people in marketing, people in sales, people in technology, people in supply chain, people in manufacturing, regular people who are managing people. We then said our course is for them. Vijaya, it's 10 long years since we began this journey on digital education.
Right.
So what we are going to do, and I'm just going to introduce Vijaya Tripathi. In 2015, she started working with me as a pedagogical research associate whose role is to support faculty in designing, developing, and delivering courses online. Vijaya had just joined us then, 2015 you joined us, right?
Yes.
So tell us about your journey and how you came in here, and of course our long association on the people management course.
Very interestingly, I was hired for the GNAM project on which Professor Saurav Mukherjee was working. And apparently after working for close to 6 months, he suggested that now the project is closing and we are setting up an online, thing. We are venturing out into online education. So why don't you explore that? Because you have a good understanding of platforms and all those things. And then he said that I want to do a course on inclusive business models.
Wow.
And it would be a good starting point. Let's begin with it. So that is the journey on how I came into this online setup of online teaching and learning. And
but your background, Vijaya, is with an MBA, and then you were a little bit of an entrepreneur, very little to do with digital, right?
Exactly. So I hold a degree of dual specialization with HR and psychology. And then I began my career as an entrepreneur while I was running a preschool for 4 years. Then I was with Educom Solutions Limited. There I got an experience of how to design curriculum because I was heading the curriculum designing part there. And then I got bored with the corporate setup and I thought, let me go into academia. That's why when I joined IIIT Hyderabad and I worked as a research associate there. So I could see that academics gives a very fine balance of, what you want to do and what the institution wants.
Correct. So true. So
that was my conscious decision of shifting to an
academic institution. Yeah. I think you've been able to straddle that very well over the last 10 years. And I think, for me, I still remember you're coming to meet me and Saurav mentioning to me, saying that
I can lend you my resource.
Yes, that's exactly the word that he used, right? He says, I can lend you my resource. So I think that was quite interesting because if you remember at that time, I'm not sure how much you had clarity, but I clearly did not have clarity on how it was going to evolve.
Equally, I was clueless, and then we both figured it out together.
Absolutely. I think sometimes the joy of discovering together, I think that's the most beautiful part of a journey. And what I want us to do is just to take some time to share our reflections on the first course that we did. Okay. So I think our first course on people management, right? I'm actually going to begin with the first reflection and then I want you to kind of chip in. You remember that first time that I came to record?
Yes.
To be honest with you, it's one of my horror moments. I can see you laughing about it. But, even now when I look back, and I think it's very important that we possibly bring that a clip from that. Because I remember I was like a zombie. I just shot for 3 hours and then I hated what I had shot.
And to begin with, we began with recording third module, which was on performance management.
Yeah.
Yes.
And why did we do that? I can't.
Because we had named the course Human Resource Management.
Ah,
We titled
okay.
it as HRM and the course code was HR1 or 1X. And after recording entire 3 hours of content, we were like, do people really need this course? Because there are already so many HR courses into the market.
Yeah.
What is the new thing which we are adding to it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vijaya, for that reminiscing, because I think one of the things that drove me, I mean, now in hindsight, that would possibly be the first advice I would give everybody, saying that for heaven's sake, don't shoot if you're not clear about what your course is about. Yeah. But in 2015, right, we had hardly anybody to give us a sense of what we should be doing. And I remember the reason I chose that was because I was strong in that subject. Okay. And so performance management, you could wake me up in the middle of the night and I could go in, because that's what I used to do both in my consulting and in my teaching. So it's interesting, right? I thought I was playing to my strength.
Yes.
And therefore, I have to bring my best self.
Right.
And that's really what I was doing. It was not so much about the course. It was not about what the learner...
Why did you struggle when that was your strongest, portion to teach in class?
I think what I forgot was that we are offering a course. There is an outcome, there is an objective, and there is this whole thing about learner-centricity. I think I was just preoccupied with my inadequacy of not having done a course, right? So it was more about what was Vasanthi comfortable, not so much in terms of what did the learners really require, how should we actually design for them. I think it was really that anxiety more on a new medium where I had no experience prior. I think that is the only explanation in hindsight I can look at for doing that entire shoot, and only to discover that that was such a total waste of time, right?
It's a very big mind shift change.
Yeah.
That when you're a classroom teacher, your focus is more about you're teaching the content.
Yeah.
In contrast, when you teach online, you have to focus on the learner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that journey took me a long time, right? I mean, how many times we've come to this studio, shot, but somehow we were both unhappy.
Right, with the output.
With the output, right? I mean, and it must have been, we must have done at least 3-4 times.
Easily, 4 times.
Yeah.
4 times.
And then finally, actually, you know what? I liked what you finally did. You said, why don't we just record, come spontaneously? You remember we did the teleprompter. That was another disaster.
That was a disaster.
Then I scripted and came. That was a disaster. Oh my God, it was just crazy, no? I mean, just kind of thinking about it. And then finally, I remember I had scripted and brought something.
Yes.
And then when I went in front of the camera and started speaking, I was saying a whole lot of things that were not in the script.
Right.
And I think what changed for me that day was the fact that you had recorded on the phone.
Yes.
Exactly what I spoke.
Right.
Fortunately, it was on your phone recorded.
Right.
And therefore, when I heard it afterwards, I realized that somewhere I need to have a structure, but I also needed space for free flow.
For free flow, right.
And I think subsequently now when I look back at it, both the people management, the people management with the impact, I think got a little easier because of that.
Yes.
Right? Wherever we wanted to bring in something new, something different, I think that, recording on the phone, listening to it, and then kind of bringing it together, I think that made a lot of difference. I think one of my biggest takeaways as I'm talking to Vijaya is that I think for each one of us as faculty, we've got to figure out what works for us. I mean, one size does not fit all. And I think our personal preferences, our personal ways of teaching, the way we prepare, all of that, I think, has a huge impact in terms of delivery. Yeah, so true, so true.
I think the starting point for us was that we decided that, okay, this is the course on people management. And now what I asked that question, Professor, what do you want to teach? What are the 6 pillars of this course?
Correct.
Then you said, okay, I want to focus on being self. I want to focus on being a people management. Then I want to focus on knowing your peers, knowing others.
Yeah.
And then we thought that, okay, now we know the 6 pillars. Now just go ahead and record the content.
Exactly. And it's also interesting. Let me share with you what was behind the thinking when you said that 6 pillars and then it came out. I think at that point in time, if you remember, most people said that if it was titled HRM, they won't take the course.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And that really kind of shook me a little bit because I used to teach HRM. So that's the title I knew best. And then I was also doing a lot of work with first-time managers. And I could see how these functional business managers were struggling on managing people. Yeah. And then we played around with the title of managing people, but I don't think you quite liked that. So, it was just like this, what do you say, this space, right? Where we know that we have to grit something out, and yet it's not very clear exactly. And I think that whole idea that we are going to look at line managers, functional managers, people in marketing, people in sales, people in technology, people in supply chain, people in manufacturing, regular people who are managing people. We then said our course is for them.
For them, yeah. When I remembered, we thought, let's name it First-Time Managers.
Yeah. Exactly. First-time course for first-time managers. Yes. Oh, yeah. You know what? I really wish ChatGPT had been there then. Because then we would have done half a dozen names we would have got for the course, and we didn't need to go through this iteration, of saying, oh, does this sound nice? What do you think about this? How many people we had asked at that time, saying, would you take a course like this? Yeah. Yes. And I think, so for me, I think the comfort was that we were offering something for line managers. Yeah. And that, I think, crystallization really helped me in terms of, when you said, let's put 6 pillars, what will it look like? Right. I think it became really easy after that. So in that sense, what you said is right. It was a flipping moment,
right,
where we said, now we know where the course is. Yeah. Right. I think the other flipping moment like that for me, I think happened, if I remember, I think in the second module or something. Okay. So I have a sense that if I look at my first module shoot and you look at the second module shoot, I think there is a significant difference. This is in my head at least. So maybe it is. Okay. So we'll have to check that. So I think what made the shift in my head was, I can't remember. I can't remember who it was. I think you remember before Yusuf, there was that Venkatesh, is it?
Vivek
Kannadi. Yes, correct. So Vivek, he said something like he and I were having a conversation on I don't envy actors being paid so much money. Yeah, I'll never ask anything in my life because it's very difficult. We can't do for 2 hours. And then, you know what, Vivek, I think, said something very insightful, because he said, actually, film actors and all, they are very worried about their audience. Yeah, they are very worried how the audience will respond or something like that, he said. And then, there was that moment in the studio where in my head, I was just thinking, who will be potentially an audience for this course? And then, I began to just imagine you're sitting in Assam or something like that. Your bandwidth is really low. You want to take this course. And what if they can't switch their video on? They're going to depend on my voice to actually, learn, consume content. I think all that was going on in my head at that moment. Yeah. And then I realized that we are not just talking about video. And how we look, how we come, it's important. It is important. But I think I realized that the voice was as big a part of the process as much as video was. Yes. And I think many years later, I remember in one of the classrooms, somebody who had taken my course actually told me. The person said that I would just switch off the video. I'll just keep the audio. Okay? And I would listen to it because I could then just plug it into my ears. Right. So that kind of also
And this was one of the logic that we added so many podcasts.
Exactly. Correct.
Especially
correct.
concluding piece of every module.
Exactly. So I think this, I think, again, my key takeaway now in hindsight is that I think you've got to be very conscious and mindful.
Right.
No, as we kind of go through each not just recording, but everything around, you've got to be so mindful. Yeah. And I'll tell you the two or three most mindful things on the people management course that I did, I think in hindsight was very good, was the opening promo.
Yes. In which we ask people, what is people management?
Yes. Because I think we also didn't know how to pitch the course.
Right.
Yeah. And we didn't know who was receiving it, how will they receive it. Right? So we were kind of breaking the mold that we were taking an HR course traditionally into a new space and audiences, and we wanted to say that there is people management and this is how. I think that was, in hindsight when I'm looking at, I think we just kind of were very mindful of the fact that the audience themselves may not understand what is the course that we are offering. So true. Yeah.
And even I think by creating people management, we created a very soft skill based course.
Exactly.
Instead of the traditional HR mindset.
Exactly. So it was not tools, methods, processes and things. It was more in terms of the sensitivity with which you handle people every day, day in, day out. Yeah.
I would also like to ask Professor that after we completed the recording and we watched the first video of the course in which you're talking about and explaining what is people management.
Yeah.
Then we thought that something is missing.
Correct.
Something is not correct.
Yeah.
I'm a first-time manager. Why will I listen to somebody who's talking about people management? Then we decided we should throw the challenges of a first day in office of a first-time manager. And we created the Joe's video.
Okay. I remember that. Yeah. Now that you remind me, I definitely get it. Yeah, my opening video we felt was not impactful.
It was not impactful.
Correct. I remember that. You coming and saying something is not coming together nicely.
Yes.
I agree with you. Yeah, so true. But I'll tell you that Joe was transformatory.
Yes.
No? I mean, really today, if people look at that animation, no, Vijaya, they'll really think, which century is it, kind of. I mean, that was such a bad animation. Yes, correct. I think you said it right. It was, and to be honest with you, that it was done by a trainee or an intern, right?
And at that point of time, we were so proud of it.
Exactly.
This is created a masterpiece.
Absolutely. And the other beautiful thing about that boy, we should remember, I can't remember his name also. What he actually, you remember that? You're always in a sari.
Yes.
Oh my God. What is that shot called? What is that?
Which we created.
The silhouette we created for the faculty.
Yes. We chose a male.
Correct.
Yes.
And so this young boy came and he said, you're always in a sari.
Yes.
Why does your silhouette have a suit?
Yes.
I mean, I thought, and then we said, okay, build a silhouette with a sari.
The sari, yes.
I think that boy was just, incredible. Yes. And the other one also, I remember that after the first time we ran that Joe animation.
Yes.
I mean, it was just mind-blowing in terms of how people responded
to it.
Yeah.
People could relate to that.
Totally. I think people had such feelings on Joe, right? It was their first day represented. I think that was really, that was one of those really profound learning moments, right? In digital.
Yes.
Where you see people connect to a character.
Right.
And, engage with it with so much of feelings.
Right.
I think that was for me, busted the myth saying that feelings in courses,
really matter.
How do we evoke them? Yeah, I think some of that is really the heart of what you look at a course like this.
Whenever you're creating online course, setting context is very, very significant for the learners.
So true. Yeah. So how much attention do we pay to the way we set the context? Yeah, so true. Other one that has stayed with me, and I think that is totally, I have to give you 100% credit for it, is what you did with you gave instructions to the learner every week.
Yes.
And you remember I had no time.
Yes.
So I just said, please, you you take over. And then you said, no, we do the first, what is that called?
Study plan.
Study plan. Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
I think at that point in time, it was an innovation.
It was an innovation, yeah. Because learner might feel very clueless at how much time do I invest in this module?
Exactly.
How many hours is the video content? What are the other reading materials I should do?
Exactly.
So first video was in conversation with you, informing the learner what is a study plan.
Exactly.
How can you leverage this online learning journey?
Yeah, so true. And that one came in so many times for some very good feedback. Yes. People thanking us, saying that now I know how many hours I have to spend. Yeah. Right. So little things like that, I think really kind of moved. And again, you know what? Now we are talking about learner engagement, learner centricity. How do we make sure that the learners are walking with us every minute of what we are doing? But I think, again, it's just coming back saying how careful and how mindful we've got to be as we kind of go along this.
Professor, I would also like to ask that when it comes to online learning, discussion forums play a very crucial role.
Exactly.
What were your thoughts on creating the questions which would evoke response from learners?
To be honest with you, I'd actually spent quite a bit of time on that. Yeah. See, what's the purpose of a discussion forum, right? And I think that was a discussion forum is an opportunity for learners to draw upon their experience and to be able to bring their perspectives. So they will do three things broadly. One, they will be able to look at what we are offering. Right. And so like on maybe performance management or on managing self, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Right. Okay. And a simple one like, when does your strength become your weakness? So many people write in.
The first discussion forum question which you created was that now that you have watched the video of Joe's first day in office, what are your challenges of being a first-time manager?
Exactly. And we got so many.
19,000 responses.
Exactly.
And we were like so overwhelmed that, oh, people can relate to that video.
Exactly. Yes. Imagine 19,000 people putting in saying what they saw were their challenges. Yeah. And there were some really interesting ones in that. I wish we pull out the discussion forum. I'm sure we will have, because we should look at those courses because some of those questions were just like everlasting. Even today when we offer a course, people ask the same questions. Yeah. Right. I think, and the other one on discussion forum, just kind of very quickly coming back, I think we want learners, to be able to share their experiences. The second then what we want is, we want peer-to-peer learning.
Yeah, building conversations.
Building conversations across multiple people saying, no, not true. Or, yeah, I agree with you and this is my perspective kind of a thing. And the last one I think we also want in the discussion forum is for people to be able to stretch a little bit beyond the question that we've asked. Right. Because then they'll bring in their context, they'll bring in everything around them. Right. But I'm also realizing, Vijaya, discussion forum is the most difficult to manage.
Yes.
Because it doesn't require just content.
Right.
It requires facilitation skills. Yeah. And we do not have enough online facilitators.
And I still remember that you used to spend a lot of time reading the discussion.
Exactly. And then kind of, yes. And if in the absence of that, discussion forum just becomes, correct. Totally. Yeah.
So and you can see that drastic drop.
Exactly.
First week, you will get close to 50 responses, 20, 30, and then by the time you come to week 6, it's zero.
It's zero. Yes. And that the role of the discussion forum, how do you put out those facilitation questions? Right. I think all of them become very important.
Somebody has to be mindful in navigating that journey.
Exactly. Couldn't agree more with you. Yeah, totally. The other one on that course, just kind of...
I would like to ask one question.
Sure.
We had 6 modules in this course. When we ran it for the second time, we added one more module.
Yeah.
So can you remember why? What was the logic of...
Oh, yes. I remember that very well. So if you remember, the context to that was very interesting. There was this large company which wanted 6,000 of its managers to go through the program.
Right.
So if you remember, we said, okay, we'll give you access to the course.
Right.
And they took that access and shared it with multiple people, all of whom said that this course is very much what we want, but The most important thing for a first-time manager is communication. And quite honestly, I can't remember how we just forgot about that. I mean, yeah.
Yes.
So that's how the communication came in.
Right.
And finally, of course, their organization had more than 6,000 people who went through the program.
Right.
So it's quite interesting that way if you look at, right, how we've got feedback and we've kind of incorporated that and built in the whole module. And after that, again, I think it became a 7-week module. Yeah.
Yes. So this backward designing of taking feedback from learners and then redesigning your course is very significant to keep your course updated.
Absolutely. And then you also realize when you look at the second time, when I refreshed the course completely and did people management with impact, we also brought in elements of HR policies into that course.
Right.
Yeah, because we felt at that time it was not enough for managers to know how to manage people.
True.
In a very managerial way, but they also had to navigate through the policies of the institution.
Right.
So in that sense, now when I look back, right, I think one of the things also is that courses periodically need to be contextualized. We often say updated.
Right.
Updating is not just the content.
True.
It's also the relevance of what it is the audience needs.
Right.
How has the context changed? What are the expectations from the environment?
True.
I think all of that goes in when we are actually looking at change.
Right.
Yeah.
I also wanted to draw your attention towards, you came up with a very innovative idea that this course has 7 modules.
Yeah.
How do I establish connecting links between my modules? For example, if my learner is shifting from managing peer to managing self, why don't I record a podcast so that the journey becomes very smooth?
Oh, yes. I can't even remember that. Yeah. I now get it. I think when we shoot modular, right, we have the big design in place, but we are focused on content pertaining to that module. And I think when I was listening and doing the transition from one module to another, I realized that you either had to summarize, and when you summarize, you also had to lead them into the next session. And we did the podcast because of that, because we had finished video thing, and then we had done the editing, the shoot the studio had been built. I think we said, okay, how do we plug that, and why don't we use podcast to do that? Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
So I think we had used a lot of innovative pedagogical tools
at that time. Exactly. Yeah. But then the interesting thing is some of that is enduring.
It is.
See, technology could have got better.
True.
Animation has got more sophisticated.
Exactly.
Yeah. Learner analytics has got more, gravitas.
Exactly.
We can now use a lot of tools to be able to get learner engagement on board. But at the end of the day, the heart of the online or offline, right? It's really in pulling content, pulling pedagogy, and then bring technology. Yeah, I think that...
It's a beautiful Venn diagram.
Yeah, correct. The 3 things, and that doesn't change. Yeah, I mean, right through as we illustrate through this conversation, right, we are able to see that everything we have done is touching one of this. Either it's impacting me as a teacher in the way I look at my students, or it is impacting in terms of what new pedagogies can we introduce, and finally, how can we leverage technology? Yeah, I think that's really the heart of much of what we are doing. Yeah.
Oh, we were just thinking to the same break.
Yes, it's come a full circle. She's usually more diligent than I am, so...
Seriously, they don't get coffee?
No, we'll go out and I'll get you coffee.